Hello, welcome to my channel, Crafty Fox DIYs. This video is part of the 12 Days of Christmas collaboration. Each day has a new theme, and today's theme is Christmas signs. The hosts of the 12 Days of Christmas collaboration are Brenda from Rustic and Lace DIY and Krista from Krista's Crafty Life. I will include a link to both of their channels as well as a link to the playlist containing videos from all of the great contributors to the 12 Days of Christmas collaboration. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, for this first DIY, I'm using this piece of wood that came from an old dresser drawer. It has some bad places on it where the drawer had broken and come apart, and I don't like to throw anything away. And this is a good piece of wood, otherwise, aside from those few places that were bad. So I just painted the whole thing black, and then I'm just taking this stencil. It's Frosty's Snowflake Cafe, and I'm going to stencil it on there. And I'm going to show you what you can do if you have a piece of wood like this, instead of just throwing it away, what you can do to still create a really nice sign with it. So once I get my stencil done, and then I'm going to take these foam snowflakes that I got from Dollar Tree, and they have silver glitter on them, and I am gluing these down, and I am covering up places on this piece of wood that were bad. You're not going to be able to see them at all once you get it hung up. Then I'm taking some matte Mod Podge, and I am just brushing it across the top just here and there, because whenever I was messing with these snowflakes, some of the glitter was coming off, and that gave me an idea. And so I decided to put some Mod Podge on there and deliberately knock some of the glitter off onto my sign. Now I have this silver ribbon that I got from Walmart, and I'm just going to take my stapler and attach the ribbon for a hanger onto the back of my piece of wood. I think using a stapler, especially for wood, is a good idea because it is heavier, and that will ensure that it doesn't come off. And there we have it. You can't even tell that this piece of wood is damaged at all. Okay, now for this next sign, I am taking this, and it had these letters on there. I was able to pop those off very easily. And then I'm just going to take my pliers and a spoon and bend the staples back to take the insert out, so that way I can paint each of these separately without having to worry about transferring paint from one spot to the other. And I'm taking this Moss by Waverly Chalk Paints, and I'm giving this frame a coat of paint. I'm going to do all the parts of the frame, the top, the sides, even inside, because this kind of had like a ledge on it, and so I wanted to make sure that I had the whole thing completely covered. I'm also going to paint the cardboard. It was like a MDF that the letters were on, and I'm going to paint it so that way it's all nice and clean. You don't see where the letters used to be on the sign or anything. Then I had this piece of wood here. This is just a little piece. I had cut up a wood round to use for another project, and so I was able to get this piece, this rectangle piece, from there. And so I'm going to Mod Podge this decoupage paper on here, scrapbook paper, whatever you want to call it, and it has it's a music sheet, and I'm going to just put that onto this piece of wood. I also use my sanding block to get all of the excess off around the edge of the wood. Then I'm just taking black and this stencil. It's a sleigh being drawn by a horse, and I'm going to stencil that onto this little piece of wood with the music notes on there. Okay, and now I have the rest of the stencil says sleigh rides, horse-drawn sleigh rides to be exact, and I'm taking this color, it's Lacquer by Waverly Chalk Paints, and I'm going to stencil that onto the MDF that was in the sign. You can use whatever colors you like. I'm really liking these. I usually go with the bright red and Christmas green for Christmas, but I'm liking the moss and the different color of red. It's a little darker shade of red. It's not as, brilliantly bright, but I'm really liking this combination. It feels so homey and everything. I just like it. So now I'm determining my placement where I'm going to put this, and I decide to kind of put at an angle. That way you can still see all of the writing. And then I'm just taking a pencil and I'm marking on the back of the piece of wood so I know where to put my glue so that I can attach it to the sign. I'm going to put some wood glue on as well as some hot glue, so that way the wood glue will give it more of a permanent hold, whereas the hot glue is going to help it stay on there right now. And then I just line it up with my pencil marks, and then it's securely attached. And then I'm going to take my sanding block and I'm going to distress the frame a little bit just to make it look a little more rustic and blend in with the rest of my decor where this is going to be placed. Then I'm going to take some greenery and I'm just going to play around with it here for a minute to determine exactly where I want to put it on my sign. And then once I determine where I want it, then I just start gluing everything down. I also add some pine cones and some red berries to, dress it up, make it look all nice and Christmassy. It takes a second because these pieces of greenery had metal stems on them, and so it seemed like it was taking those a little bit longer to dry than whenever they just have the plastic coated stems. So these metal stems, I had to hold those down just a little bit longer. Okay, then once I get all of that glued on, then I'm going to take some Mod Podge and I'm going to just kind of dab it onto my greenery and my berries and my pine cones. And then I'm going to sprinkle on some faux snow. I got the faux snow at Dollar Tree. Just so that way it looks, like the sign is all nice and snowy and wintry. So then I just shake it off and there we go. Okay, now for the next one, I am going to be using this, and I tried to take it apart, but there was no way I was getting it apart. This sign is actually magnetic, but I'm not using it that way. I guess I could later on, but I'm not going to now. I'm just giving this several coats of black paint. I think it took 3 coats in total to completely cover up the coffee bar words. And then once I get all of that done, then I'm going to take, once again, that color Lacquer by Waverly Chalk Paints, and I'm going to paint the frame. And I'm just going to be very careful so that I don't get any of the red paint onto the black. But if I do, that's okay because I can just touch it up. It's no big deal. But like I said, I just went very carefully and used a little smaller brush than I normally would just to help keep me from getting too much red paint on the black. Then I have this stencil. It's Mrs. Claus's Gingerbread Bakery. It says always fresh, made with love. It's really cute. I just love it. So I get all of my stencils lately. I've been getting them all from Temu. They have all been great quality. I haven't had any issues at all. Sometimes you'll have places where you'll have to pull out, like maybe a letter didn't completely cut through and you'll have to pull it off. But that's just minor issue, no problem at all. So then I sizzle all this on there except for the gingerbread. And I have these little gingerbread wood ornaments that I also got from Temu. I got a big old pack of them for like $3. It was a really good deal. So then I'm just determining which ones I want and make sure they're going to fit on there nice the way I want them. I'm also going to add some embellishment to the top of my sign. I had this bow. It was made with a red and white ribbon. It kind of makes me think of candy canes. And I had used it for something else, and I made it for something else and didn't end up using it, but I thought it'd be perfect for this sign. So then I just glued that greenery down and then added the bow on top. And then I'm going to glue down my gingerbread men. I don't show it, but I did fill in the holes in the top of the hats. I just put some hot glue in there. You could use wood filler if you have it, but I just put some hot glue in there, and then once it dried, I painted over top of it, the front and the back, so that way you couldn't tell that there was a hole there. And then I just glued this big old green jingle bell to the center of the bow. And then I'm just taking some white paint and dabbing it onto the greenery. And I got a little bit of white paint on the black, so I just went underneath and touched it up. And there we have this beautiful sign. I am so excited to put this in my kitchen. Okay, now for this next one, we're making a signpost. This is a signpost that someone else had made that I did not like. I didn't like the colors of it. I didn't like the words that were on it. So I decided to give it a makeover. So as you can see, I used the Lacquer by Waverly Chalk Paints and the moss as well, and then just a white. Now the top part that says North Pole, I kept that as it was, except where there was kind of some yellowing on there, so I was real careful around the letters. Those letters are vinyl. I was able to get all of the vinyl letters off of the other arrows so that I could put my own thing on there. Okay, so now for this red arrow, I am using a white paint marker to write the word bakery on it. And then I have a cute little gingerbread person that I'm going to put on there. I don't remember if it was a boy or a girl. I think it's a girl one. But anyway, I'm going to put it on the bakery. And then I'm using a red Sharpie or magic marker, it's permanent anyway, to write candy canes on the white arrow, and then on the green arrow I'm writing out hot cocoa. And then I had this little gingerbread guy that had a spoon, and I'll show you what I do with that to add some cocoa to it. And then to put the lettering onto the arrow, I'm using the color Raw Umber by Apple Barrel, and I'm just painting that on. First I wrote it with a pencil, and then I'm just going over it. And I go back over the letters for the bakery and the candy canes a couple times so that they're nice and dark. Now for this little gingerbread guy on his spoon, you just see me, I just took some hot glue and put it onto the spoon, so that way whenever we get done, it's going to look like there is chocolate on the spoon. Then I had these little candy canes. I also got these from Temu, and I just glued those down in a little heart shape. And then I glued the little gingerbread onto where the bakery, on the bakery arrow. And now I painted the hot glue there on that gingerbread spoon and glued it down. And now you can see what it looks like. The little candy canes, and then see the chocolate on the spoon. I just love this. Okay, then I had this bucket. I love these buckets. I got 2 of these from Kroger for $1.40. It was great. So then I'm just sticking my signpost down in and then putting some beans in there. You could use rocks, whatever you have to make it heavy so it will stand up and keep your signpost up. And then in the gaps in there, I'm just stuffing in some plastic grocery bag. And then I'm going to take this white scarf and I'm going to wrap that around inside to cover up the beans and the bags so you won't see those down in there. And I just take the little fringe in and I just tuck it down in so you don't see that. And then I'm going to take just some picks, some different picks. This pick has like a little present and pine cones and a little drum. I just tuck that down in there, and then I'm going to tuck in some more pine greenery and some berries just to dress up the bottom of it so it's not just so plain. You could also use like one of those snow blankets, whatever you want to do to dress it up. And there we have it. Okay, let's take one final look at all of these projects.
Snow is falling bright white. Twinkling lights ignite the night. Joy is in the air, take flight. Families gather round tonight. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas cheer. Merry Christmas, merry time of year so dear. Cookies baking warm and sweet. Mistletoe where lovers meet.
Okay, that's all for this video. Be sure to check the description box for the link to the host channels as well as the playlist for the 12 Days of Christmas collaboration to get lots of Christmas DIY inspiration. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.